My name is Christina Costantini, and I'm the director of Sally.
Talk to me about the origins of this movie. Like, it's sort of amazing that there hasn't been a Sally Ride documentary yet. Tell me how this came to be.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I was a huge fan of Sally as a kid. I just was obsessed with her. I think just seeing like a girl in a jumpsuit going to space, just symbolically for me as like a second, third grader, that was just so cool. I couldn't imagine anything cooler. I painted a huge mural of her on my elementary school wall, and everybody was supposed to paint, their heroes. And so it's like Michael Jordan, Brett Favre, Sally Ride is the lineup, and it still exists on my elementary school. But anyway, I think just seeing a girl being able to do that, if she could do that, I also, a girl, could probably do big things too, and it was very inspirational, just in a symbolic sense. And then in 2012, when she passed away, I found out with the rest of the world that she was survived by her life partner Tam O'Shaughnessy, a woman, and that this amazing 27-year long romance was, kept private from the rest of the world. And so I wanted to know more about that, and thinking about how hard it was at that time just to be a woman trying to get into space, and all of the criticism that she had to face just for being a woman, to have this also happening at the same time. I just imagine it would be incredibly difficult. And so I think the turning point was when I met Tam O'Shaughnessy, Sally's life partner, and I fell in love with Tam. And she's an incredible storyteller. And I wanted to do a film that celebrated the romance that they had in a way that it couldn't be celebrated at the time. So it was really important to me to, capture the feeling of what it is to fall in love, to have a secret, I wanted it to be sexy too.
Yeah.
And so telling this, intrepid space story side by side with a intimate love story was kind of the project of the film.
Was Tam, on board right away, and did that help? Because what's amazing is how many astronauts you talk to, and how many people involved, and Sally's sister Bear, and all these amazing people. So was it sort of Tam's sign off that got the ball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, Tam's involvement was critical, and I think Tam's vulnerability in telling her side of the story was key to the film. And when I met Tam, I knew that this could be a special film. There's a version of this film that could just be, if you try really hard, you can go really far and you can do big things, and you should be inspired to do big things like Sally did. And I think that's part of the film, but there's this whole other more nuanced story, more interesting story about what it means when our heroes have to hurt the people they love most for the benefit of people they'll never meet. And I think that was a much more compelling storyline to me, and that our heroes are real, that they there's a scene where Sally flips some switches in a robotic arm training program, which may have sabotaged a friend of hers, and you don't exactly know what Sally's intention was with flipping those switches, but it could have been, saying, as Kathy says in the film, Kathy Sullivan, it could be, like, get off of my patch, I'm the robotic arm guy.
Yeah.
And like they were all competing to go to space at the time. So we wanted to show a nuanced story about one of our American heroes.
Yeah, I mean, the specificity of it to me seems to make it more universal than if it was just like, go do try your hardest and you'll get to the space or whatever.
Exactly.
Obviously, you talked to a lot of people, and I was wondering if there was something that somebody said or something that you learned in the research that was like a huge surprise to you.
Yeah. What I didn't expect was there's a storyline about this astronaut named Mike Mullane, who was one of the male astronauts in the same class as Sally, and he really believed at that time that women shouldn't be in that space program. And I didn't know when we started the film that we were going to find Mike, and that he would be so willing to talk about how he really felt, because oftentimes in these stories you can't find the bad guy. Nobody wants to say, I was sexist, I was racist, I was homophobic. And Mike said, it was me. I thought, what the hell are they doing here?
Yeah.
They're taking a man's spot. They're not going to be able to handle this. This is too hard, and you have to be too strong and too brave to do this kind of difficult job. And what I find really compelling about Mike is that he changed, and I feel like that's a very brave thing that we don't talk about enough, is that like there is bravery in saying I was wrong. I made a mistake. It was me. I was the problem.
Yeah.
And you know, he writes this incredibly beautiful letter to Tam O'Shaughnessy after Sally's passing, which was very moving to me. And I think it carries a very important message about how we should be able to change our minds and we should be able to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so beautiful in how you present it, too, because you just present his initial sort of dismissive soundbite and you think, who is this jerk? And then to have him come back, it is a really powerful moment that, you know, men not as in touch with themselves as I am would find very moving and cry while watching. But was there anything that you left on the cutting room floor that you really wish was a part of the movie?
Oh my God, so much.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, I think one of the great projects of this film, the hardest part about this film probably was the archive. I mean, we had such an embarrassment of riches, and it was so hard to get and to sound sync. We worked with NASA, and they were great, but there is so much. We just brought into our system 5,000 reels of footage. So
wow.
it's 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter. It's gorgeous stuff. But there is so much of it, and it's a mountain of footage, and it's not always, it's categorized in a strange way, or there's no sound. And we really wanted the film to have scenes that played like scenes. And so when Sally becomes Capcom, which is basically you are the person that the astronauts in space are communicated with, it's an incredibly hard job, and we wanted to capture that. And in order to do that, you have to have the sound, and it has to have the emotion of, you have to hear what Sally was saying at the time. So syncing all of that audio, I think there's like 60,000 hours worth of audio that NASA has from that time period that we had to kind of sift through. And so incredible archival producers, Eugen Breinig and Steven Slater, kind of headed that effort to get through all of that.
The unsung heroes.
All that mountain
I
and
can imagine.
of material.
I mean, the movie seems even more important now, given the kind of like attack on LGBTQ. And also, it seems kind of amazing that it's a National Geographic documentary, so it'll be on Disney Plus. It'll have this amazingly huge audience. And I was wondering if you could speak to all of that.
Yeah, you know, I think this film is for anyone who's ever had to hide part of themselves to get where they want to be. And I think it's really sad that in 2025 it's more relevant than ever. But you know, when we started making this film, I didn't think we would be here. But I think it's a reminder of how far we've come, and also a reminder that this is what it looks like when people have to hide who they are.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel honored to be part of telling this very queer story at this time.
Yes.
And I hope people draw inspiration from it, and I hope it's also kind of a warning of what this can look like.
Yeah. I mean, have you thought about your next documentary? Where do you go from here? I mean, this is kind of amazing.
Oh, well, I actually have a very different documentary that's coming out later this year, which is about a Colombian pop star named Karol G, who had a huge stadium tour, and we were lucky enough to spend time with her and her stadium tour. So that comes out on Netflix this year.
So something for everybody.
Something for everyone, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I really loved the movie. This was a real treat.
Thank you.
Of course.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.